Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Andy here from CoachTates.com, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to structure your training program to optimize muscle growth. Okay, so let's start off with some of the basics. The most important thing when it comes to resistance training is your technique. So you want to be making sure you're focusing on getting your technique right to make sure that you are reducing the risk of injury and you are stimulating the muscle in which you are trying to grow. So let's say you're doing a back squat, for example. There's two styles of back squat. There's a high bar back squat, low bar back squat. You'd see powerlifters use a low bar back squat because that's generally how they find it's easiest for them to lift the most amount of weight possible. They're trying to recruit all of the muscle within their body or as much as possible so they can lift as heavy as they can. But when it comes to optimizing muscle growth, what we want to try and do is we really want to try and dial in on that target muscle that we're trying to grow, and we're trying to tweak our technique so that we are really targeting that muscle. So for a back squat, you would rather do a high bar back squat. You're going to sit in a more upright position, and that's going to really target the quads more so than a low bar back squat would. So that's just an example. So making sure you're getting your technique right is very important. That's going to make sure that you are reducing the risk of injury and that you are really optimizing your growth potential. Okay, so once you've got your technique covered, let's talk about a little bit about programming. So you want to train each body part twice a week. Now, if you're a very beginner and you're very new to this, that might be difficult to do. So just train it once a week. But then as you progress into late beginner, intermediate, you're going to want to train your muscle group twice per week at least, and that's going to really push your growth forward. So training each body part 2 times per week. You've got to decide how many times a week you want to train. Are you going to train 3 times a week, 4, 5, or 6 times a week? And we'll come on to that structure and how to program that in a little bit. But having a think about that and deciding how many days a week you want to train, what's realistic, and then we can start to structure a program around that. Okay, so once you've decided on how many sessions you're going to do per week, we need to break down and we need to plan out those individual sessions. So we want to be doing between 6 and 8 sets per muscle group per session. We want to be doing 3 to 4 sets per exercise. So that means, let's say you're going to do a leg session, you're going to target the quads, the hamstrings, the calves, for example. You might say, okay, I'm going to do 2 quad exercises, 2 hamstring exercises, 2 calf exercises. Okay, so you're going to choose 2 exercises. Said that. So you're going to divide those 6 to 8 sets into those 2 exercises. So you might choose, for quads, you might choose a high bar back squat and a Bulgarian split squat. Dare I say it, bloody hell. Okay, so you might say, okay, I'm going to do 3 sets of each, and then you'll have 6 sets per session for the quads. Or you might say, I'm going to do 4 sets. You might do 4 sets of back squat, 3 sets of Bulgarian split squat, and so on. Same for the hamstring. You might do a stiff-legged deadlift, 3 sets, and you might do a hamstring curl, and that's going to give you 6 sets, and then you can add sets then to make it 8 if you need to. Okay, right, here is a more complicated principle for more intermediate and advanced trainees. You want to be training each set less than 5 RIR. RIR means reps in reserve. Reps in reserve basically means in each set, how many reps away are you from complete failure or technical failure? So how many reps are you away from your technique really starting to break down that it's dangerous or that you can't lift anymore? So let's say you're going to do 3 sets of 10 high bar back squat, and you're trying to decide what weight to use. Well, you want to choose a weight that you could do a 10 rep max or a 15 rep max. And 15, if you use a 15 rep max weight, that means that you got 5 reps in reserve once you stop at 10 reps. I'm confusing myself. I hope that makes sense. The reason for this is because your muscle growth stimulus is going to be really enhanced by pushing that a little bit closer to failure. Now, in terms of structuring your reps in reserve and progressing them week to week to week, that's for another video. But if you train most of your sets within 5 reps away from failure, you're going to be stimulating a lot of muscle growth. Now, I don't recommend going to failure every session. That's going to be hugely fatiguing, and it's going to result in you not being able to perform well for the long term. And so you are not going to get as faster results as if you were to moderate that and be around 3 reps in reserve on average. So this brings me very nicely onto the next point, which is progressive overload. Progressive overload just means you want to be overloading your system as time goes on. So let's say you do 3 sets of 10 back squat at 185 pounds. You want to try and progress that either in reps or sets or load over the coming weeks. So across the course of your training lifespan, you want to be lifting more weight, doing more reps with the same weight, and maybe even doing more sets. So if you do 3 sets of 10 at 185 pound, maybe the next week you try and add 5 to 10 pound and try and do the same number of reps, and you add again each week until you can really struggle to do that, and maybe then it's time for a deload. But on average, what you want to be doing is just increasing weight as time goes on. Okay guys, so there was a couple of points that I forgot to mention. In terms of your rest period in between sets, you want to leave around 2.5 to 3 minutes. You're going to get a good amount of recovery. If you give yourself too short of a rest, you're not going to be able to hit the same number of reps or even close to it. So you want to be making sure that you are getting enough rest in so you can hit your next set with a very similar intensity. The other thing that I forgot to mention is how many reps you should be doing. The number of reps is anything from between 5 and 30 reps if you're training for hypertrophy, which is to gain muscle. Anything less than 5 and you are focusing mostly on building strength, which you can still build muscle doing that. However, you're going to build up a lot of fatigue when lifting those heavier weights. And then when it comes to going all the way up to 30 or more, you're doing a huge amount of reps and it's not really necessary. So the sweet spot is anything between 5 and 20 reps, and you're going to be golden within that rep range to build muscle, as long as the other principles still apply and you are training each body part twice a week, 6 to 8 exercises per muscle group, and then 2 exercises per muscle group per session. You should be great in terms of building muscle as long as you are pushing close to failure. So it doesn't matter which rep range it is. Okay, so for the next thing, if you can see it, is going to be figuring out how many sessions a week you're going to do, and then we can really dial in the format of that. So let's say we've got here 3 times a week, 4, 5, 6 times a week. Don't need to be training 6 times a week really. So I think anything 4 or 5 really works well. I quite like 4, to be honest. So here's what I recommend. If you're going to train 3 times a week, you're going to do lower body one day, upper body another day, and then a complete full body on the last day. So that means you're going to train your lower body and upper body twice a week, because you're getting it once and then once on the full body day as well. When it comes to the 4-day-a-week plan, you do lower body, upper body, and you do that twice in a week. So you're getting 4 sessions in, 2 a lower body, 2 a upper body, so you're hitting 2 times a week per muscle group. 5 times legs, push, upper body pull, lower body, upper body. Ideally with a break after the pull before the leg session. Then if you're doing 6 days a week, then you can do legs, push, pull, rest, legs, push, pull. So you do that twice in a week basically. So once you've chosen how many you're going to do, you can really start to dial in and build your program. So let's just have a look at an example program for a day's session. So I've got some examples here. This would be 1 leg session. We've got 2 quad exercises, 2 hamstring exercises, 2 calf exercises like I mentioned previously. So all are going to be 3 reps. We're going to keep things simple. 3 reps is a really good target, especially to start off with. If you're not feeling that sore, you're feeling very well recovered, you can up that to 4 sets, but that's going to make the session much more time consuming. Okay, so 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps of back squat. So I give a rep range. The reason for the rep range is because you might not be able to get 3 sets of 10 with the weight you've chosen. So you want to try and get each set kind of within that rep range or very close to it. Maybe you get 2 sets of 10, 1 set of 8, or maybe you get 2 sets of 9, 1 set of 7, and that's completely fine. As long as you're applying those previous principles and you're very close to failure within that set, it's going to be great. Okay, just take a log of this because you want to be trying adding weight each week, so you're progressively overloading your system, so you've got to keep a log of this. So leg extension, you've noticed here that the number of reps is different. So I've not gone 8 to 10 on leg extension. We've already got an 8 to 10 rep range for the quads. So let's change up the rep range a little bit, give the muscle a little bit of a different stimulus. So leg extension, still quads, 3 sets of 12 to 15. Romanian deadlift, my arm's aching. I'm training my arms right now, mate, you know what I mean? So we've got Romanian deadlift, which is going to really target the hamstrings. 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps. Leg curls, 3 sets of 10 to 12. You can push a little harder, you're going to go a little lighter. And then standing calf raise, seated calf raise. You got 3 sets of each of those as well. So that's a very easy way to structure that. If you're going to do an upper body, you might want to do 2 chest exercises, 2 back exercises, 1 vertical pull, 1 horizontal pull, and then biceps, triceps, and that should hold you in good stead as well. I think that's it. I think that's everything covered. So to recap, really, you want to be making sure that your training is very purposeful and you're planning it. You don't want to be just doing a random collection of exercises that you come up with on a daily basis. You want to go in with a plan, a structured plan of how many times a week are you going to train, how many times a week are you going to train each body part, which sets, how many sets are you going to do, how many exercises you're going to do, and what are those exercises. And then you've got to be purposeful within your sessions to make sure that you are training hard. You're going close enough to failure to really stimulate muscle growth. You've got to also make sure that you're progressively overloading your system, adding more weight, doing more reps at the same weight as the time goes on, and then taking deload weeks as and when you need to. Now, deloads is for another video. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video. A lot of key takeaways for you to start building your own training program so you can really focus on building muscle. Hit me up with any questions, comments, or message me on Instagram at Coach Taters. I'm going to be happy to answer any of your questions and start putting together your program. And if you need some help, message me. Okay guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one.